Today we are going to analyse a poem called Blessing. We're going to explore the meaning of the poem and be able to write a poem on a blessing by the end of this lesson. So what does blessing mean? What predictions can you make based on the title of the poem? A blessing is beneficial, something to be grateful for. It's something positive, but it can also be something that we take for granted. So let's look at blessing in relation to the poem. The skin cracks like a pod. There is never enough water. So the blessing in this poem is water. Imtiaz Darka lives in Mumbai in India, where during the dry season the temperature can reach 40 degrees. The poem is set in Dharavi, which is on the outskirts of Mumbai. Here, there is always a shortage of water because it's not an official living area, and millions of people suffer and live in poverty. Poverty meaning people who are extremely poor. Please take time to read the poem. If you need to pause the video, now's the time. When we analyse a poem, we look at the language. The reader here uses a simile, for instance, a comparison using the words as or like. The use of the simile here creates a disturbing image and makes the reader imagine that the skin of the earth is exploding because of the dry conditions. The writer uses strong images throughout the poem. For instance, imagine the drip of it. The readers are told to imagine the drip of water, just like the poor people from India, even the tiniest amount. A metaphor is also used, comparing the water to a kindly God. This highlights how much the water is a blessing to the people. The writer continues to use metaphors to create imagery throughout the poem, describing the water as a fortune, as silver. This emphasises just how valuable and precious the water is. The use of listing within the poem really emphasises how excited the people are to collect the water. You can imagine them frantically running around with buckets, hands, trying to collect as much as they possibly can, again emphasising how precious this water really is to them. One part of the poem that really stands out and really appeals to the emotions of the reader is the phrase naked children. Their screaming highlights how delighted and how excited they are to finally have water. The poem ends just as powerfully as it began, the poignant reminder that these children will still continue to live in poverty. Again, really emphasising how difficult their lives are and wanting the reader to really open their eyes to what's going on in the world. They won't always have access to water, which would sadden the reader. Now it's your turn. We would like you to write a poem titled Blessing. What have you felt more grateful for since COVID-19 and since lockdown? What are your blessings? Is it food, home, family, health? Is it the fact that you took for granted the time that you spent with friends before the lockdown? Perhaps it's school. Try to use some of the examples that we looked at in the poem Blessing. For instance, the similes, the metaphors, creating imagery. Try using listing to show some excitement. It's your choice.